Recording then. All right. So last time we talked about that your target has no longer had a charge. And so we were going to move on to the next memory, noticing that the next one that came up was the image of you being 8 years old at the dinner table with your dad. And he had said some pretty negative words to you about being like a little piggy or fat. I'm trying to recall exactly what the words were.
Comes to mind is you don't need to eat, you're fat as a pig.
Okay. And I wanted to know, as you notice that memory, how about anything earlier than that?
The only other thing that comes to mind is when I was about 4 or 5 in preschool, that I refused to play a new game or kind of do a simple kind of kid task like hide and seek or something until I knew exactly how to do it well. And I would just sit down. The teachers commented. I don't think they were intending to make fun, but the teachers kind of made comments of, oh, she doesn't join until she knows exactly, what is expected of her.
Okay. How about anything earlier than that?
Remember that my parents got married when I was 2, and I was at the wedding, and I don't have a clear memory of it, thankfully, but of the honeymoon or anything like that. But I do remember like seeing pictures. I know that I was there, and I always felt kind of there's been a sense of there's a negative connection there.
Okay. How about anything earlier than that?
The only earlier memory is the one attached to birth. But that one, as we talked about, is not charged anymore. Mm-hmm. I can tell you about it, but it doesn't feel charged anymore.
Okay. So let's go back to being 2 years old. Because it sounds like that's the earliest memory for you that potentially has a charge. You're at the wedding and you notice some sort of sense of negative connection. Can you tell me some more, like when you bring up that memory of being at the wedding, what image represents the worst part of being there?
There's a picture of me just kind of putting my hand around my neck, like almost like it's an awkward little kid face, kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And that feels connected to the worst part.
Okay. Almost like cringing.
Yeah.
Okay. And so as you think about that experience and the worst part, what words go best with that picture that express your negative belief about yourself right now?
I am too much comes to mind.
Okay. All right. And when you bring up that picture, what would you prefer to believe about yourself instead?
That I'm okay as I am.
When you think of that picture, how true do those words, I am okay as I am, feel to you right now on a scale of 1 to 7, where 7 is completely true, 1 is completely false?
2.
Okay. When you bring up the picture and those words, I'm too much, what emotion do you feel right now?
I don't know the name for it, but I feel this choking sensation in my neck just feels tight, and choking sensation.
Okay. And on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is no disturbance and 10 is the highest disturbance, you can imagine, how disturbing does the memory feel to you now?
6 or 7.
Okay. And where do you feel that in your body?
It's still in my throat.
Okay. So I'd like you to bring up that picture and the negative words, I'm too much. Notice where you're feeling it in your body and go ahead and start to tap. All right, take a breath. Let it go. What are you noticing now?
Feels like it's shifted to heat on my back.
Okay, so notice that and let's go with it. Go ahead and take a breath. Let it go. What are you noticing now?
Just less heat on the back and a little less of the choking sensations.
Okay, so let's notice that and go with it. Start to tap. Good. Go ahead and take a breath. I'm letting it go when you're ready. Good. What are you noticing now?
My back and throat feel better, but just kind of feeling a weight on my head with the forehead.
Okay. So let's notice that and go with it. Start tapping. Take a breath. Let it go. What are you noticing now?
Not the same. Still less on the back and less in the throat. It's still just a kind of a dull headache.
Okay, just notice that. Let's go with it. Go ahead and start tapping. And take a breath. Let it go. What are you noticing now?
Feel about the same.
Okay, so I'd like to invite you to go back to the original target. And when you bring up the original memory on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 is no disturbance, 10 is the highest disturbance you can imagine. How disturbing does that feel with you right now?
Kind of 4.
Okay, let's go with that. Take a breath. Let it go. Good. Good. What are you noticing now?
Just the thought that probably that maybe that face was just more of a silly face than just the thought of maybe it was just a 2-year-old being goofy. I have a 2-year-old now, and just that thought of maybe she was just being playful and silly instead of
Okay.
kind of judged.
Yeah, okay, so notice that. Let's go with it. Take a breath. Right, letting it go. What are you noticing now?
That it's just the picture, the image feels less charged. Maybe like a 2.
Okay, all right. So let's notice that. Notice what's happening in your body and go with it. You're just doing your best to stay connected. Good. Take a breath. Let it go. Good. What are you noticing now?
The image doesn't seem to kind of almost like this able to telling the story in a different way, just kind of the idea of not connecting that face and that expression with being something wrong or not enough, but just connecting that expression with a 2-year-old being silly and being free to be silly and just being okay playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd like you to notice that. Let's go with it. Take a breath. Let it go. What are you noticing now?
Feels pretty neutral. Just yeah.
Okay.
No, my throat feels clear. My back feels fine.
So when you bring up the original memory on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 is no disturbance, 10 is the highest disturbance. What would you rate it right now?
Probably 0.
Okay. So given that it's a 0, where do you notice that in your body?
It just feels pretty clear. Like there's not, when I think about that image, I have a little headache, but I feel like it's just allergy related. I think I had it before we started,
Okay.
but the choking sensation and the heat on my back are gone.
So do the words, I'm okay as I am, still fit, or is there another positive statement you feel would be more suitable?
I'm free to play.
Free to play. Okay. So thinking about the memory and the words, I'm free to play, where 1 is completely false and 7 is completely true. How true do they feel right now?
5.
Okay. So holding, there are 5.
The 7 is the highest, right?
Right, yeah, 7 is the highest. So I'm wondering what potentially might be getting in the way of those feeling like a 7, I'm free to play, when you think about the original target memory.
I think it just needs a little more time to settle. Just nothing is popping up as a block. It's just more like this is a new idea and it just needs to kind of
Mm-hmm.
go from my head to my body and my soul.
Okay. So holding those words together, I'm free to play, and that memory. Oh, dang it. Well, okay. Go ahead and start to tap. Take a breath. When you're ready, let it go. All right. On a scale of 1 to 7, how true to the words I'm free to play feel to you now?
Pretty close to a 6. Almost kind of noticing a hesitation to say 6, but I don't really have a reason not to say 6.
Okay. All right. So again, holding the memory together with the words I'm free to play. Go ahead and start to tap. Take a breath. And letting it go. So on a scale of 1 to 7, how true to the words I'm free to play feel to you right now?
7.
Okay. Okay, so I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves here or not, but closing your eyes and keeping in mind the original memory and the words I am free to play, bring your attention to the different parts of your body, starting with your head and working downward. Any place you find any tension, tightness, or unusual sensation, tell me.
It's kind of a residual discomfort in my throat and a little residual heat on my back.
Okay.
Not as, yeah, just very little, but just there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I wonder if there's a gesture or movement that would help you connect more with that feeling of the I am free to play.
The only thing that's coming to mind is really silly. It's almost embarrassing to admit. But my daughter, who is about the age that I was at the time of the memory, sat in the car today just doing that little. That's the only thing that keeps coming to mind now. It's just kind of that.
That's fantastic. Okay. All right. It sounds like there may potentially be, like, it's a 7 for the most part, but it sounds like there's also this little bit of residual. Maybe it's something that we're going to have to go back the next time that we meet, and go back through and just check the validity, do a body scan. So for now, the processing we've done today may continue after the session, and you may notice some new insights, thoughts, memories, or dreams. If so, just notice what you're experiencing. And if you wish to record it on the Memories and Lies log, you can do that. Use the resources that we've worked on to help manage any disturbance. And we can work on this material next time. And if it's necessary, you could call me. Would you like to do a resource today?
Oh, that's pretty good.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good to hear. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.